My mother convinced my girlfriend to marry my brother, saying, "He'll give you the life my son never could." I disappeared without a word. Years later, we met again, and when they saw me doing extremely well, their smiles vanished. This happened over 8 years, and I'm finally ready to tell the complete story. All names changed except family members, but every single detail is 100% true. Still can't believe I actually pulled this off. I'm 32 now, but this nightmare started when I was 24, working as a diesel mechanic, making $42,000 a year. I was damn good at it too. Could diagnose problems that stumped mechanics with decades of experience. Problem was, my family thought I was wasting my life. Dad pulled in $85,000 as a regional sales manager, all button-downs and company cars. My older brother Finn was following the same path, business degree, pharmaceutical sales, making $68,000 at 27. They acted like working with my hands made me a failure. Tyler's got potential, Dad would announce at family dinners, but he's content being a grease monkey instead of using his brain. Finn was worse, always bragging about his professional network and career advancement. I drove a new Accord, wore ties, acted like hot stuff because he had an office job. Then I met Ashley. She was 23, a dental hygienist who brought her older Camry in when it started making weird noises. 5'7", brown hair, blue eyes, athletic build from college soccer. Every guy in the shop stopped working when she walked in, but she was interested in me. "I love that you actually build things," she'd say. "Create something useful with your hands. These office guys just push papers around all day." After 6 months, I was completely in love. Started thinking about proposing, buying a house together. She made me feel like maybe I wasn't such a disappointment after all. That's when I made the mistake of bringing her to family dinner. Finn was there with his girlfriend Sarah, some marketing coordinator glued to her phone. Ashley wore this navy dress that showed her figure perfectly. But I watched something change during dinner. Ashley kept asking Finn questions about his job, his townhouse, his salary. "Wow, $68,000? That's impressive for someone your age." "Just getting started," Finn said with fake modesty. "Should hit 6 figures within 3 years." Ashley glanced at me, then back at Finn. "That's amazing. Tyler's really skilled, but I guess mechanics don't make that kind of money." Over the next few weeks, Ashley started mentioning Finn constantly. "Your brother texted me investment advice. Finn suggested this restaurant." When I asked why he was texting her, she said they'd exchanged numbers for financial advice about a car loan. Then came the night that destroyed everything. I was working late, rebuilding an engine. Around 9 p.m., I realized I'd forgotten my wallet and drove home to grab it. I used my key and immediately heard voices from the bedroom. Ashley's voice and Finn's voice. "This is so much better than with Tyler," I heard her say. "He has no idea what he's doing." Finn laughed. "Well, he's always been the slow one in the family." I quietly left and worked until 3 a.m. When I got home, Ashley was pretending to sleep. She'd showered and changed the sheets, but I could still smell Finn's cologne. The next evening, Ashley made dinner like nothing happened. Then she dropped the bomb. "Tyler, I care about you, but I need to be realistic. I want children, a nice house, financial security. I can't have that on a mechanic's salary." "So you want me to be like Finn?" "I want you to have ambition. I can't be with someone who's content to settle." She moved out that weekend. 2 weeks later, I saw them together at a restaurant downtown. Finn's arm around her, Ashley wearing new jewelry that cost more than anything I'd ever bought her. When they saw me, Finn waved like we were all friends. Ashley looked guilty for half a second, then smiled and waved too. That's when I decided to disappear. I put in my 2 weeks' notice and moved 2 hours north to work for a guy who ran a custom motorcycle shop. He specialized in high-end builds and restoration work, the kind of projects that paid serious money. "You're wasted working on fleet trucks," he'd told me at a bike show. "Come work for me and I'll teach you how to build machines that sell for $75,000. I didn't tell my family I was leaving. Just loaded my tools and drove north. The custom shop was impressive. 4 full bays, paint booth, fabrication area, and a client list that included professional athletes and business executives. "First lesson," my new boss said, "is that working on motorcycles and creating art are 2 different things. You've got the mechanical skills. Now I'm going to teach you how to build something extraordinary." The level of craftsmanship was incredible. We weren't just rebuilding engines. We were creating masterpieces. Hand-polished components, custom fabrication, bikes detailed to perfection. More importantly, he was teaching me the business side. How to price custom work. How to deal with wealthy clients. How to manage complex projects. "Rich people don't care about saving money," he explained. "They care about having something nobody else has. Give them exclusivity and perfection. They'll pay whatever you ask. Within 6 months, I was working on builds that sold for $90,000 and up. By the end of my first year, he was letting me handle complete projects from start to finish. I was making around $65,000 a year, more than Finn made in his fancy sales job. 2 years later, my boss made an offer that changed everything. "I'm getting ready to retire," he said. "Been doing this for 25 years and I want to slow down. You interested in buying the business?" He'd finance it himself. I'd pay him a percentage of profits for 8 years, then it was mine. The shop was generating about $2.1 million annually, with profit margins around 45%. I signed the papers a month later. By my 26th birthday, I owned the custom motorcycle shop, and I had plans to expand beyond anything he'd imagined. The next 2 years were a blur of 15-hour days, but the business grew rapidly. I hired 4 more mechanics, added a second paint booth, started taking contracts for custom car builds alongside motorcycles. Our client list expanded to include celebrities, tech entrepreneurs, and old money families. By 28, I was personally making $195,000 a year, and the business was valued at over $4.5 million. I'd bought a house on 30 acres outside town, owned a collection of custom bikes and classic cars, and had enough money saved to retire comfortably. But I wasn't finished yet. I'd started a side business buying damaged exotic vehicles at auction, restoring them, and flipping them for massive profits. A wrecked Porsche that I bought for $85,000 would sell for $245,000 after restoration. By 30, my combined businesses were generating over $3.5 million annually. I was worth about $7 million and making more money than I knew what to do with. That's when I decided it was time to remind my family I existed. I started small, posted some photos on social media of vehicles I'd built. Nothing too flashy, just beautiful work with my company logo visible. Within days, high school friends were reaching out. "Holy cow, dude, is this your shop?" And, "These builds are insane, you must be making bank." Word travels fast in small towns. I knew it would reach my family eventually. Dad called first. "Tyler? Good grief, son, where have you been?" "Working. I heard you own a business now? Custom vehicles?" "That's right." "Tyler, that's incredible. I always knew you had it in you." Complete nonsense. He tried to keep me on the phone, asking about the business. I gave minimal answers and hung up after 10 minutes. But the call I'd really been waiting for came 2 days later. "Finn, dude, what the heck? I had to hear from Dad that you own some custom vehicle business? Why didn't you tell me?" "Why would I tell you?" "Because I'm your brother. Because we're family." "Are we?" Silence. "Look, Tyler, I know things got weird with Ashley, but that was 6 years ago. We should move past it." "Move past what, exactly?" "The whole situation. I know you were upset about her and me getting together, but getting together? Is that what you call sleeping with my girlfriend in my apartment?" More silence. "You knew?" "I caught you, Finn. I came home and heard you two in my bedroom." "Oh man. Tyler, why didn't you say anything?" "What was there to say? We could have talked about it. Worked things out." "Worked what out?" "You were sleeping with my girlfriend behind my back. She was going to leave you anyway. She told me she was unhappy, that you guys weren't compatible." "How noble." "Come on, man. That was years ago. We're both different people now." "You're right. I am different. I'm successful now. I own a multi-million-dollar business." "That's great. I'm happy for you." "Are you? Because 6 years ago you thought I was a loser who'd never amount to anything." "Tyler, look, I know I messed up, but we're family. Can't we put this behind us?" "Why would I want to do that?" "Because I need help. I'm about to lose my townhouse. I've been looking for work for 10 months and nobody's hiring. I thought maybe you might have something at your business." And there it was. The real reason for the call. "You want me to give you a job?" "Just temporarily, until I get back on my feet." I thought about it for a moment. About Finn sitting in his fancy townhouse 6 years ago, laughing about how I was the slow one, while he slept with my girlfriend. "Let me think about it," I said. "Really?" "Tyler, that would be amazing." "I said I'd think about it. I'll call you back." I hung up and started planning. Not to give Finn a job, to destroy him completely. I spent 2 weeks researching my family's current situation. Finn's situation was worse than he'd admitted. Not only had he been laid off, but he'd been living beyond his means for years. Credit card debt around $30,000, behind on his mortgage. He'd burned through his savings and was now borrowing money from Dad to survive. Dad wasn't doing much better. The medical supply company had been acquired by a larger corporation. They'd kept him, but with reduced responsibilities and a $15,000 pay cut. Mom was working part-time at a bookstore to help make ends meet. Their comfortable middle-class lifestyle was crumbling. But the most interesting information was about Ashley. She'd bounced from Finn to some insurance agent who turned out to be married. When that exploded, she moved in with a guy who owned a small restaurant chain. That lasted 6 months until she found out he was drowning in debt. Now she was 29, working at the same dental office, living in a small apartment, and according to her social media, single and focusing on personal growth. I decided to have some fun. I created a fake social media profile using one of my restored Porsches as the main photo. The profile suggested I was a successful collector who split time between multiple states. Then I started liking Ashley's photos. She followed back within hours. Then came the messages. Love your car collection. Are you in the automotive business? I played it perfectly. Told her I collected and restored classic vehicles as a hobby, that my main business was in manufacturing. Mentioned casually that I was planning to be in her area for a car auction. Would love to meet for coffee if you're free. She jumped at it. We arranged to meet at an upscale coffee shop downtown. I showed up in the Porsche, wearing a custom suit, looking like exactly the kind of successful man she'd been hunting for. Ashley arrived looking incredible. Black dress, perfect makeup, clearly had spent hours getting ready. She didn't recognize me at first. I'd put on 25 pounds of muscle, grown a beard, and success had changed how I carried myself. But when recognition hit, her face went pale. Tyler? Hello, Ashley? She stared at me, then at the Porsche, visible through the window, then back at me. This is your car? One of them. And you own a business? 2 businesses, actually. She sat down like she was in shock. Tyler, I had no idea that the grease monkey would make something of himself? She winced. I never called you that. No, but you thought it. You made it clear that you didn't think I had much potential. That's not... I was young and confused. I didn't know what I wanted. You knew exactly what you wanted. You wanted someone who could give you a certain lifestyle. Finn just seemed like a safer bet. Tyler, about Finn and me, I owe you an apology. The way things ended between us wasn't right. You mean instead of sleeping with my brother behind my back? She looked around nervously. Can we not do this here? You have every right to be angry with me. What I did was terrible. But Tyler, you have to understand, I was scared. I was 23 and all I could see was struggling forever. And what do you see now? She was quiet, studying my face. I see a man who became everything I hoped he could be. Too bad you weren't around to see it happen. I know I messed up. But Tyler, look at you now. You're successful. You're confident. She reached across the table. You're incredible. I pulled my hand back. What do you want, Ashley? I want to apologize. I want to explain why I made the choices I did. And I want to see if maybe we could start over. Start over? I know it sounds crazy, but I never stopped thinking about you. Even when I was with Finn, even with other guys, I always wondered what would have happened if I'd trusted you to become the man you were meant to be. I leaned back and studied her. Still beautiful, still charming, but now I could see right through her act. Tell me something, Ashley. If I was still making $42,000 as a mechanic, would you be sitting here right now? That's not fair. It's a simple question. Long silence. I can't change the past, Tyler. I can only tell you that I've learned from my mistakes. What mistakes? Choosing security over love, choosing what looked good on paper over what was good for my heart. And what's good for your heart now? You. It's always been you. The audacity was impressive. Ashley, let me make sure I understand this. When I was a mechanic making decent money, you left me for my brother who made more. When he got laid off and went broke, you left him too. Now you find out I'm successful, and suddenly I'm... What's good for your heart? It's not about the money. It's entirely about the money. You're a gold digger, Ashley. Her face hardened. That's not true. Isn't it? You have a pattern. You find a guy who looks successful. You charm him into taking care of you. And when you realize he's not as rich as you thought, you move on. You don't know anything about my relationships. I know enough. She was getting angry, which was perfect. Maybe I reached out because I heard you were successful and I was curious. That doesn't make me a gold digger. Then explain why you're sitting here telling me you've always loved me after spending 6 years ignoring my existence. I'm here because I love you and because I need help. I nodded. You know what? You're right. People do change. I've certainly changed. You have. You're more confident, more sure of yourself. Thank you. And you know what else has changed? What? My standards. 6 years ago, I thought you were the best I could do. Beautiful, charming, out of my league. I was grateful that someone like you would even notice someone like me. Her smile faltered. But now I know better. Now I know my worth. And I know that I deserve someone who wants to be with me, whether I'm making $42,000 or $400,000. Someone who sees my potential before I achieve it. Tyler. Someone who would never ever sleep with my brother because she thought he was a better provider. I stood up and left money on the table. Thanks for the coffee, Ashley. And the reminder of why I left this place. Wait, please, don't go. Oh, and Ashley? When you see Finn again, tell him I said thanks. If he hadn't stolen you from me, I might have married you and never realized what a massive bullet I dodged. I left her sitting there and drove home, feeling better than I had in years. Finn called me the next day, panicked. Tyler, what did you do to Ashley? Finn, you've got bigger problems than your ex-girlfriend's feelings. Like what? Like the fact that you're about to be homeless. How do you know about my townhouse? I know lots of things. Question is, do you want my help or not? Yes. Tyler, I'm desperate. All right, drive up here this weekend. We'll discuss a position at my company. But I need to see that you're serious about changing your life. I am, I swear. See you Saturday. I spent the week preparing. Not a job offer. Something much more destructive. Saturday morning, Finn pulled up in a beat-up Toyota. The contrast with his old Accord was stark. This was a man who'd fallen hard. Holy cow, Tyler, he said, staring at my facility. This place is incredible. My shop was impressive. 20,000 square feet, 8 lifts, paint booth, fabrication area, and a showroom displaying my best work. Custom motorcycles, restored muscle cars, exotic vehicle rebuilds that had won national awards. I walked him through the operation, explaining each department, introducing him to my employees, showing off high-end projects. Vehicles worth more than most people's houses. Finn was clearly overwhelmed. I had no idea you were operating at this level. This is just the custom side. The exotic restoration business is even more profitable. I showed him carefully edited financial statements. Impressive revenue without revealing my actual net worth, but enough to make it clear this was a multi-million-dollar operation. Finn, I'll be honest. When you called asking for work, my first instinct was to hang up. I know, I deserve that. But then I thought about it. You're good with people, you understand sales, you know how to deal with wealthy clients. Skills I could use. Really? Yeah, but not as an employee. What I need is a partner for a new venture. I pulled out the proposal I'd prepared. We're expanding into project management for complete vehicle collections. Coordinate everything when serious collectors want multiple cars restored simultaneously. Finn studied the paperwork, eyes widening. The profit margins are incredible, I continued. 45 to 50% on projects that run $3 to $4 million. But it requires someone who can interface with clients, manage complex timelines, handle finances. And you want me to do that? I want you to run it. Your own division, profit sharing, potential for serious money. Tyler, this is amazing, but I don't have any capital. Actually, you'd need to invest about $85,000 up front. Equipment, tools, initial inventory. Think of it as buying into the partnership. His face fell. I don't have $85,000. What about Dad? Could he co-sign a loan? Maybe. He'd have to see the opportunity first. Of course, bring him up next weekend. Finn was practically vibrating with excitement. This could change everything. What Finn didn't know was that the shell company I'd created was designed to fail. The contracts were structured so any investment would be forfeited if impossible performance targets weren't met. Dad came up the following Saturday with Finn, driving his aging sedan and wearing his best suit. I gave them the full presentation. Business plan, financial projections, client testimonials. Made it look like a guaranteed gold mine. Tyler, this is impressive, Dad finally said. But $85,000 is significant for our family right now. I understand. But Dad, Finn isn't just buying a job. He's buying ownership of a division that could be worth millions. I need to think about this, Dad said. Of course. But I should mention, I've got another candidate interested. Someone with capital ready to invest immediately. If Finn wants this opportunity, I need a decision by Friday. They left with all the paperwork, talking excitedly about the potential. Meanwhile, I was implementing phase 2. I'd researched Dad's situation at the medical supply company. He was struggling with adapting to new systems after the acquisition. His new supervisors saw him as dead weight waiting for retirement. I set up a meeting with a business loan officer at a local bank. I'm looking to expand my automotive business, I explained. Need about $600,000 in equipment financing. We spent an hour going through applications. But then I mentioned something specific. I was actually referred here by someone I know in the industry. Frank Morrison? He works at First National, but he's been encouraging me to shop around for better rates. Oh, you know Frank. Family connection. He's been after me to move my business banking for years. What happened next was exactly what I'd hoped. The loan officer mentioned my inquiry to Dad through industry connections. Dad was thrilled when he heard about it. We had lunch to discuss my financing needs. Dad was in full professional mode, clearly enjoying being back in his element. What he didn't know was that I was recording everything. 3 days later, I withdrew my loan application. I've decided to go with private financing instead, I told the loan officer. But then I made another call to his bank's compliance department. I want to report some concerning behavior by one of your employees. I think there might be conflicts of interest. I sent them the edited recording of my lunch with Dad, carefully crafted to make it sound like he was steering bank business toward family members. The bank's investigation took 3 weeks. During that time, I finalized Finn's investment. I've decided to move forward, Dad said over the phone. Finn deserves this opportunity. That's great, Dad. The loan should be approved early next week. By early next week, Dad would no longer have a job. The bank fired him on a Tuesday morning, called it early retirement, but everyone understood what it really was. Dad called that afternoon, devastated. Tyler, something terrible happened. The bank let me go. Some nonsense about conflicts of interest. Dad, that's awful. What about Finn's investment? The loan was approved before they fired me. Finn should still be able to move forward. Finn transferred the money that Friday. $85,000 that represented everything Dad could borrow against their house and retirement savings. I deposited the check and immediately started the 90-day clock on Finn's impossible performance targets. Finn showed up for his first day like he was starting a new life. I set him up in a nice office and handed him his first assignment, securing 4 major restoration contracts within 60 days. The clients are all pre-qualified, I explained. You just need to close the deals. What I didn't mention was that the pre-qualified clients were either fictional or people I'd already confirmed would never work with us. Finn threw himself into the job, making calls, sending proposals, setting up meetings with potential customers who would string him along before declining. I don't understand it, he'd tell me after each rejection. They seem interested, but when it comes time to sign contracts, they always find excuses. Sales is tough, I'd say sympathetically. Meanwhile, Dad was struggling with unemployment. At 59, he was essentially unemployable in his field. He started taking part-time work. Retail, temp jobs, anything for income. Mom picked up extra shifts. They were burning through savings and falling behind on their mortgage. By day 50, Finn was panicking. He'd managed exactly 0 contracts and was running out of time. Tyler, please, I need an extension. Finn, this was supposed to prove you could handle business development independently. Day 60 came and went with no contracts. According to the agreement Finn had signed, this triggered the performance clause that voided his equity and forfeited his investment. I called a meeting for that Friday. Finn walked into my office looking like a man facing execution. Finn, I've reviewed your performance, and unfortunately, you haven't met any of the benchmarks we agreed on. I know, but if you give me another month, according to the contract you signed, failure to meet initial performance targets results in termination of the partnership agreement. His face went white. What does that mean? It means you're fired, and your investment is forfeited. You can't do that. That money, that's everything my family has. You signed a legal contract, Finn, but you set me up to fail. Those clients were never going to sign. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? He stared at me, and I could see realization dawning. You did this on purpose. Did what on purpose? All of it. The job offer, the investment opportunity, getting Dad to co-sign the loan? You planned this to destroy us. Even if that were true, you'd have a hard time proving it. The business is legitimate, the contracts are legal, and you failed to meet performance standards you agreed to in writing. Finn's hands were shaking. Dad's going to lose the house. Mom's working retail. That money was supposed to save us. Then maybe you should have worked harder to earn it. Tyler, please, I'm begging you. I know I messed up with Ashley. I know I was a terrible brother, but this is too much. Am I destroying your family? Or am I just a businessman who gave his brother an opportunity and watched him fail? Finn was crying now. What do you want from me? Nothing you could offer. I'll do anything. I'll work for free. I'll publicly apologize. Finn, even if I wanted to help, I can't. The money's already been spent on equipment and startup costs. Another lie. The money was sitting in a separate account. You have to give me something, I pretended to think. There is one thing. Anything. I need someone to handle grunt work around here. Cleaning, organizing, basic maintenance, minimum wage, no benefits. You want me to be your janitor? Your choice. Take it or leave it. He took it. For the next 4 months, Finn worked at my shop 40 hours a week making minimum wage. Sweeping floors, taking out trash, cleaning bathrooms, all while watching me run the business he'd thought he was going to partner in. It was beautiful. By winter, my family's situation had reached rock bottom. Dad still couldn't find steady work, and they were 4 months behind on their mortgage. Mom was working full-time retail, but barely covering utilities. Finn was living in a studio apartment, driving the beat-up Toyota, eating budget meals. That's when I got the call I'd been waiting for. Tyler? It's Mom. Her voice was shaky, desperate. Hi, Mom. Tyler, I need to ask you something, and I know I don't have any right to ask anything after how we treated you. What do you need? We're about to lose the house. The bank is foreclosing, and we owe $52,000 to catch up on payments. I know you're successful now, and I was wondering, is there any way you could help us? I let the silence stretch. Mom, that's a lot of money. I know. But Tyler, this house? It's all we have left. What about Finn's investment? Silence. Finn lost that money, Tyler. The business opportunity didn't work out. That's unfortunate. Tyler, please, I'm begging you. Mom, let me ask you something. 8 years ago, when I left town, did you ever wonder why I disappeared? We thought you were angry about Ashley and Finn. Did you ever think maybe you'd done something to drive me away? Tyler, we made mistakes. We know that now. But you're our son. That's why it hurt so much when you made it clear Finn was the son you were proud of, and I was just the disappointment. That's not true, isn't it? You spent my entire childhood comparing me to Finn. When I got interested in mechanics, you said I wasn't applying myself. When I started dating Ashley, you encouraged her to see Finn as the better option. We never encouraged her to leave you. You encouraged her to see Finn as superior. You planted seeds, Mom, and when they grew into the destruction of my engagement, you acted like it was just unfortunate circumstances. She was crying. Tyler, we're sorry. We failed you as parents, and you had every right to leave. But please don't punish us forever. I'm not punishing you, Mom. I'm just not rescuing you. Tyler, please. But I'll make you the same deal I made Finn. You can work for me. Minimum wage, 40 hours a week. Both you and Dad, I need help with administrative work. You want your father and me to work for you? I want to give you an opportunity to earn money to save your house. Tyler, at minimum wage, it would take us 3 years to earn enough to catch up on the mortgage. Then you better start now. Long silence. And Finn? Finn can keep his current position. You want all 3 of us working for you? I want to help my family the only way I know how. By giving you opportunities to help yourselves. She agreed. They all did. For the next 8 months, I watched my parents, the people who'd spent my childhood making me feel worthless, clean my shop, file my paperwork, and answer my phones for minimum wage. Dad, who used to lecture me about not having real goals, spent his days organizing my inventory and maintaining my equipment. Mom, who used to worry I'd never amount to anything, spent her days doing data entry and making coffee for my actual employees. Finn continued his janitorial duties, now watching his parents endure the same humiliation. It was perfect. But the absolute best part came in spring, almost 2 years after I'd started this revenge plan. Ashley called me. Tyler, I need to see you. It's important. We met at the same coffee shop where I'd humiliated her before. She showed up looking rough, still beautiful, but desperation was visible. Her clothes were nice but not new. Her car was an older model with visible wear. Thank you for meeting me, she said. What do you want? I want to apologize, really apologize, for everything I did to you. Okay, but I also want to ask you something, and I know I have no right. Ask away. I need help, Tyler. I'm in a really bad situation, and I don't have anyone else to turn to. What kind of situation? Financial. I lost my job 6 weeks ago. The dental office is downsizing. I can't make rent. I can't afford my car payments. I'm about to lose everything. That's unfortunate. Tyler, I know you hate me. I know you have every reason to want to see me fail, but I'm desperate. I'll do anything. Anything? Yes, anything. I'll work for you. I'll be whatever you want me to be. I leaned back and studied her. What exactly are you offering, Ashley? Whatever you want. If you want me to work for you, I'll work. If you want me to be with you, I'll do that too. Be with me? I know how this sounds. But Tyler, I've spent 8 years regretting what I did to you. And now you need money. Yes, I need money. But that's not why I'm here. Isn't it? I'm here because I love you. I never stopped loving you. I pretended to consider her offer. Ashley, let me make sure I understand. You're offering to be my girlfriend in exchange for financial support? I'm offering to be whatever you want because I love you and because I need help. So if I wanted you to move in with me, you'd do that? Yes. If I wanted you to quit looking for other work and focus on making me happy, you'd do that? Yes. If I wanted you to admit publicly that you made the biggest mistake of your life when you left me for Finn, you'd do that? Yes, all of it. Whatever you want. I nodded slowly. You know what, Ashley? I believe you. I believe you'd do anything I asked. Hope flickered in her eyes. But here's the thing. I don't want a girlfriend who's only with me because she needs money. Tyler, that's not... 8 years ago, you looked at two brothers and chose the one who seemed like a safer bet financially. Now you're choosing the one who actually has money. You haven't changed at all. That's not true. Isn't it? If Finn was still making $68,000 and I was still making $42,000, would you be sitting here? Silence. The answer is no, Ashley. You're not here because you love me. You're here because you need me. We could have something real now? Number we couldn't, because I know who you really are. I stood up to leave. But I'll make you the same offer I made my family. You can work for me. Minimum wage, entry-level position. You want me to work for you? Doing what? Reception. Answering phones. Scheduling appointments. Filing. For minimum wage? For the opportunity to prove you've changed. She stared at me. And if I do that, then maybe we can talk about something more. It was a lie, but she didn't know that. Okay, she said finally. When do I start? Monday morning, 8 a.m. For the next 5 months, I had the pleasure of watching Ashley, the woman who'd left me because I wasn't successful enough, answer my phones and serve coffee to my clients, while my mother, father, and brother cleaned my shop. Every day, she'd smile hopefully when she saw me, clearly expecting that her willingness to work for minimum wage was earning her points toward reconciliation. Every day, I'd treat her with polite professional distance, while she slowly realized I had no intention of ever giving her what she wanted. The final piece fell into place when my parents finally admitted defeat. They couldn't save the house working for minimum wage. The bank was proceeding with foreclosure regardless. Dad called me on a Friday afternoon, his voice broken. Tyler, we're going to lose the house next week. I wanted to thank you for giving us work, but it's not enough. That's unfortunate, Dad. Is there anything else you can offer? Dad, I've given your entire family jobs when you needed them. I'm not sure what else you want. I want my son back, he said quietly. I want a chance to make things right between us. What would that look like? I don't know. But Tyler, punishing us forever won't bring back the years we lost. At some point, you have to decide whether you want a family or just revenge. I thought about it. You know what, Dad? You're right. I am? Yeah. I've proven my point. I've shown you what happens when you underestimate me. But I'm not cruel. So you'll help us? I'll do better than that. I'll make this all go away. The next Monday, I called a meeting with my entire family. Mom, Dad, Finn, and Ashley all crowded into my office, clearly hoping for some kind of miracle. I've been thinking about Dad's call, I began. About family, about forgiveness, about what really matters. They were all leaning forward. And I've decided that you're right. This has gone on long enough. Relief flooded their faces. So I'm going to make you an offer. A final offer. They waited. I'll pay off your mortgage, Dad. I'll give Finn back his $85,000 investment. I'll give Ashley a real job with real pay. Mom started crying with relief. But there's a condition. The relief turned to apprehension. You all have to admit, publicly, exactly what you did to me. Dad, you have to admit that you favored Finn and made me feel worthless. Mom, you have to admit that you encouraged Ashley to see Finn as the better option. Finn, you have to admit that you stole my girlfriend because you thought you were entitled to anything you wanted. And Ashley, you have to admit that you're a gold-digging opportunist who left me for my brother's money. The silence was deafening. In writing, I continued. Signed statements that I can use however I want. Posted on social media, sent to local newspapers, shared with everyone we know. Tyler, Mom whispered, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. You want my help? You want my forgiveness? That's the price. Finn spoke first. And if we don't agree, then you get nothing. Dad loses the house, Finn stays broke, and Ashley can find another minimum wage job somewhere else. I stood up. You have 24 hours to decide. All of you sign the statements, or none of you get anything. They left my office in silence. The next evening, I had 4 signed confessions sitting on my desk. And that's when I finally felt like justice had been served.